Okiru.
I think that topic about that generational like debt or like burden that sometimes we feel, especially from our parents being immigrants to this country.
Yes. I think it's not just something that Southeast Asians feel. Majority of us Filipinos
It's
here,
just any immigrants,
it's
right?
a lot of immigrant parents out there who have come from whether it's a third world country or even a first world country and come to Australia to just have a better life. And it's something where it's really hard because there's a lot of people out there who feel that they're so in debt to their parents, to their grandparents for coming here, for giving them what our parents used to say, sacrificing. They sacrificed so much, yet it feels that sometimes it's just ingrained into us to live their life that they missed out on.
Right. You feel burdened
You
to
feel
do
burdened,
something.
yeah.
So I guess where do we go with that? Like I understand that mindset, and I think sometimes it burdens us too much, and we have this expectation that we have to do for our life, and then sometimes that could halt us and prevent us from actually moving forward to actually what we really want to do.
Yep.
Right. And I guess that's what we really want to encourage with this podcast, with this brand, is we want people to live a life that they really want to live, because you don't want to live a life with regrets.
Exactly.
Like there's so many stories of people going to aged cares and asking these people these questions, and most of them are saying, I wish. They start with I wish. And that's one of the worst phrases you could hear, I wish, because that is a sign of regret. A sign you didn't do something with your life, but you really wanted to. So that's why we really want to encourage others to do something more with themselves, to be better.
Exactly.
And you can still, give your parents honor with what you do. Like you see a lot of people who, I guess, they didn't become a doctor or
an engineer or a nurse.
Yeah.
Be a nurse.
Exactly, right? Like
nurse.
to have this career, and then you have these, I was going to say like the Asian like background, they pursue something that they love and they prove to their parents that there is something better than this.
Yeah.
But then there's also sometimes when they still don't believe it.
Yeah. And it's that struggle of getting to that point. It's a struggle of getting to the area where you're like, I was able to build this up. Hey, mom and dad, I was able to build this up to make you proud. But then the real question is, are they actually proud? That's the hard thing, because I think everyone wants to make their parents proud.
Of course.
Yeah. It's something that I don't even know. Are we growing up to? Are we taught to be like that, or is it just inbuilt in human nature to make our parents proud?
I think it's probably even built in our human nature to do that.
Yeah.
Like, because I guess we want to make people happy.
Yeah.
So especially if it's going to be our parents, we're like, oh man, they brought us up in this life.
Yeah.
We feel like some sort of obligation to it. But I was going to ask, how common do you reckon this feeling is for not only us, but for everyone? Like, is it only like, are you talking about Asians and like?
I think a good word is just people with immigrant parents. People, I don't know where people call them first generations, where they were the first ones who came to Australia, so they're first generations Australians. So it's those people who have that, because I've met other people out there who were fourth, fifth generation Chinese, and their lifestyle is completely different. It's like they don't have that pressure that they're in debt anymore, because their generations, their parents, their grandparents, their great grandparents were already in Australia. And it might be something where it's like, because of that understanding that their great grandparents had when they first came here, or their grandparents had when they came here, it slowly fizzled out. It's like, well, you don't have to have that burden on you anymore because we've already had it.
Right. Well, why do you think it fizzles out? Do you think it's like the tradition, the culture that the environment they have?
Potentially could be just a mixture of all of them.
Yeah.
It's like how I guess I was born in Australia. I understand my language. Will my kids understand my language? I don't know, man. Maybe bits and pieces,
Right.
maybe swear words,
Yeah.
like everyone else learns.
What's that phrase?
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, tell me a dirty joke.
Yeah.
Tell me a dirty phrase.
But like by the time I see my grandkids out there, potentially they might not even know my language.
Yeah.
They might know the culture of like friends, family, being in a group, but having that culture of actually knowing what Filipinos do, it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that fancy thing's called where they cut the sticks down, man.
Oh, what is that called?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
But yeah, I just hear it come from. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, the thing is, like, for me, I like the Filipino culture. I like to ingrain. I wish my kids and my grandkids could still have that Filipino culture.
You're American.
That Filipino culture as part of their lives.
Right.
Maybe like like I said, the main traditions may stay there, but the other ones, they're gonna be Aussies. At the end of the day, they're gonna be growing up with other Aussies out there. It's something.
Well, I guess that's good about Australia. It's just like it's very multicultural.
Yeah.
So they embrace other people's culture.
And with most, like, when you move to a different country, like a lot of the immigrants, I would say, like, they stick kind of together.
Yeah.
So that's why we're like, even though we were born here, we still have like
a lot of Filipinos
Yeah.
around us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's how you could create a connection with your culture. It's like, oh, you're Filipino. I'm Filipino too. Like, you know.
I feel that's like a very Filo thing.
Yeah,
Do you know?
do you know this?
PJ, Santos. Oh yeah, PJ Santos. Yeah, my cousin.
It's such a common name, right? But yeah, like that cultural stuff. Like, I think it's important for the next generation to have that culture, but I don't think it's super essential.
Correct.
Like, I'm not gonna be like, you need to do these cultural things. You need to know the language. It's an advantage, but I'm not gonna like be like
force it onto them.
Yeah,
You're not going to be forcing
if
it
they
onto
want to
them.
choose to
Yeah.
learn a different language, I'll be like that. That's sick,
That's
man.
pretty sick.
Like,
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's about that diversification of your friends as well. And like that's something that I was learning about that. People have the IQ, the intelligence quotient. They've got the EQ, but do people have that DQ?
What's the DQ?
Disqualified. DQ is your diversity quotient. It's something where do you have that circle of trust, those friends who are able to, who you're able to ask certain questions for. Because the thing is, you think about your top 10 friends, or maybe let's say top 10 closest people around you, you're going to say the majority of them are Filipino. Are they male or female? Some people have 50-50 splits. Some people have 80% male, 20% female.
Yeah.
You think about the age differences. How many friends can you say that, or how many people in your circle of trust can you say are over the age of 40? Because you're going to be having these unconditional biases towards you to say that, hey man, I'm having this issue. And guess what the other person's going to say who's in your big circle of trust? Oh yeah, I get it, man. I have the same thing because we're the same age. We're both Filipino.
Yeah.
The exact same thing, yeah.
So how do you go out there and get a different perspective in life by building up your diversity quotient, your circle of trust to be more diverse? One of the teachings out of that course that I was doing was that they were kind of saying like, oh, you have to make friends out of your diversity out of your kind of circle of trust, out of your own, there was a word for it, I can't remember what it was, but who are similar to you. But the thing is, like, how many people actually want to make friends with a 60-year-old guy, white male or woman, potentially disabled or not disabled? Like, there's a lot of factors that you have to take into consideration of.
Yeah, I guess also, like, you don't really have that chance to actually talk to that 60-year-old person. It's like, oh, hey, like, just randomly.
I think that's where I disagree, where you have to find that person. Like, but sometimes you might be lucky enough to come across people who at the age and you be able to create that relationship with them.
Yeah. It's something like, oh, hey, I'm about to have kids. Who do you talk to? You talk to people who have already had kids, who have probably older kids. And then you just ask them quick advice like, oh, hey, tita, hey, tito, my kid's doing this.
Yeah.
What can I do? What have you done in the past? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do what they say, but it's just advice to kind of build your your knowledge base.
Mm.
Something's like my mates are saying, oh man, he's running around making a mess. Oh, don't worry, he's just a kid, let him be. Where someone else might be, oh, you got to discipline him, or you got to teach him right values. Someone else might be whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you have those different types of just opinions or suggestions of
There's
experiences.
different styles of parenting or doing anything in life, right? There's no one blueprint that will work for everyone. It's something you experience for yourself, because like, I guess with kids, it's a bit harder because the personality of that kid is going to be different to other kids' personality. There's a lot of variables there. So, you know, but I guess like you don't really only have to seek out people. You could seek out education. Like reading material is a big one. I would say, like reading books or listening to any educational like podcasts, just people who have that knowledge, right? I guess that would be the best way, and then finding people who have a background in that, you know. But how many people actually educate themselves these days? That's the other thing, right? How many people actually like do the effort, do the yards to actually find and actually research things as opposed to seeing what's up front?
Nah, Facebook, man.
Facebook, man. Facebook said like this medicine will heal us, man. This tea will heal your cancer, man. So it's all about how like, what are people doing to educate themselves? And that's what we want to do as well, is we want to inspire to education, that growth mindset. What's the best way to do that? Obviously, finding people who are on that journey as well. You learn from each other. Finding your like a coach or a mentor, people like a teacher that can help you with that. Those are the things that we need to seek out, as opposed to just taking everything at face value.
Yeah.
And even the best thing about those things is you find that coach, you find that mentor, you find that teacher, and then you start questioning the stuff that they say to be like, get them thinking as well. And then it's something where if you don't understand, don't just don't just absorb the information. Question it. It's a big thing that a lot of people, especially like in our kind of generation, don't do as well. They don't do not as well as they maybe aren't as good at. So it's like how can you find someone who wants to be open-minded, who wants to get those questions out there without having to fear that, oh, why are you
not following me?
Why are you not following me? This is just do as I say. If we did that, man, well, that would be like communism. Man.
Exactly. It's like this dictatorship, right? Like I'll follow every order blindly, like mindless robot, you know?
I guess it's like an ego thing.
Exactly.
Like you have to follow me because I know
better.
I know better. Yeah.
I have experience. I'm older than you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like I've lived on this earth longer than you. It's like,
Man,
damn,
that's
bro.
the worst.
That's the worst
man.
part. Like,
it's like you get those like grandparents or uncles or aunties out there who are like, I am older than you, therefore I am right.
Exactly.
5G creates coronavirus.
Exactly right. So it's the importance of education. I think we're starting to begin that way, you know. And then you come across like so many young people and like they're so much more knowledgeable, and you're like, wow.
Like this generation, the younger generation to us, man,
crazy.
Like the stuff that they're getting into. It's like when I was their age, when I was just sitting at home playing Maple Story.
Penny trading.
Penny trading. But now, like I was talking to one of my mates, and his younger brother is like, he's probably 5 years younger than him, 6 years younger than him. He was saying that he started going like during the first year uni, he started checking out stocks and like actually making money out of stocks and stuff. Probably saved up flipped probably 10K into 100K just because of the knowledge that he knew. And he's going to continue building that. And that's stuff that when we were never taught that when we were our age, probably because we didn't have the kind of material out there as easily as out there on the internet. But even still, it's like crazy to see how many kids are getting into Bitcoin, into stocks, into just actually learning about money.
I think that's kind of become a trend though. Like having all that information out there, people are seeing like all the success that people are having, and it's become, I don't know if trend is the right word to use, but it's like
I think it's more of like a hype, like with anything. Like I'm not a financial, I know nothing about stocks, but like just from what I've seen, like it kind of be a trap as well. Like you'll have people in our older generation, they see people younger generation who are successful, and then they'll jump on that trend, but they won't realize that it's it could be just a pump and dump, or they'll just get trapped into a thing that will bait them into something to spend money. So that's why the importance of education is so important, because learning about how stocks work, how all that stuff works, the systems, and
you can't just go into there and be like, I'm going to put 10K into ASX and hope for the best. It's
exactly.
like, you got to understand. I don't even know where to start. I'm not even like,
but that's the other thing. It's about diving in and taking action as well. That's the other part you need to take into account to. Yes, you have education. Like, we can have all the knowledge in the world, but if we don't apply it, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So you put those two together. But yeah, so how can we educate more people in pursuing knowledge, or just to get understanding? Yeah, that's the main part, right? Especially the older generation, like this young generation, like as JP said, like it's crazy what they're doing, what they're achieving, and the opportunities out there are so much bigger now. Like for me, what I was growing up with is just like get a job and then live your life till you're dead. And
do a degree.
And
then just do that. Just work for 9 to 5, and then build a house, start a family. And you're all set. It's like,
exactly,
man, I want to do fun stuff.
And there's many ways to do that now. You know.
And it goes back to parents pushing their dreams onto the kids and stuff like that too.
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with it, but I think it gets to a point where it's too extreme. Yeah. That's where I have a problem.
Yes. And I think there's nothing wrong. It's like parents are out there trying to do their best for their kids.
Yes, exactly.
Like they probably, imagine them like 20 years ago, and if they had their own podcast, they're like, man, my parents are trying to push this onto me. Like at the end of the day, they're just trying to, they take the best things that they learn from their parents and push it onto us. But sometimes like you said, it may be a bit too extreme. So it's something that maybe for us as a generation that can change it, is we start changing that to our kids, give them more, I guess, not freedom, but more, we take the best parts from our parents' lives. We take the best parts that our parents did for us, and we impart them onto our kids. Because at the end of the day, our parents just want us to succeed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, right. You don't want to see your kid like homeless and failing in life, right? Yeah. No parent wants to see that. It's I guess what we want is just support for what we're trying to do. That's the biggest thing. Like you can do for someone is just to be there for them, and don't come from a place of criticism or judgment. Come from a place of, how can I help you? Yes. What can I do to support you? That's what I guess we want to thrive for, right? Like, especially when we started this business, it's a struggle because your family doesn't really understand this whole industry, how it works. And they only know it's business, it's risky, it's a lot of money. But how can we, educate ourselves and do what we can with what resources we have to build something. Yeah.
It might be good to kind of like, I don't know if you want to share your story about, you were an engineer, you finished uni, you're an engineer, and then you stopped engineering, you quit engineering, created your own videography business. How did your parents kind of take that?
I don't know the true feeling, but I felt like they were disappointed in that. Like they really wanted me to just stay in engineering and find a job in engineering and stick to that. But I don't know, like for me, I knew what I wanted, and I knew I couldn't continue doing that. And I knew that I was going to feel like, because already when I was doing the degree, I already felt like I didn't want to do it. Yeah. And that was the first year, and I was like, I really don't want to do this. But I felt that pressure. Yeah. Like I need to make my parents happy. Right. Like, so I finished it because my parents, pretty much. But I was thinking to myself, okay, am I going to want to do this for the rest of my life? Exactly. Like I had to kind of, I guess, disappoint my parents because I need to follow my own, goals, my own vision. So yeah,
it's like that disappointment. There was a quote that you said. It's like you can disappoint them
for a few years, but like just don't disappoint yourself for the rest of your life. That's the worst thing. Like imagine living your life just for your parents. Yeah, and then as all lives they end, what's going to happen then? You're just going to wait for your parents to pass away till you feel freedom. Yeah, like that's the worst thing. Like that's the way I see it.
Yeah, it's like they pass away or you run away. Yeah, it's like you move out to have that freedom that you want to do. It's like it's hard. It's a hard choice to have.
So I had a question. So for those who are like going through that similar situation, what would your advice be to like, because obviously it's more just how do you educate the parents in I want to pursue this where they have a vision of you going this way.
That's a really good question. I honestly wouldn't give advice because I don't have advice to give because I don't know that person's situation. It would more like if I have a discussion with someone about that, it's kind of like, all right, so you don't want to do this, but what do you really want to do? Well, okay, you want to do that. What's that going to do for you? And it's just trying to find and break it down to a deeper level, you know, because you can't just give advice just from a question like that. It's how can help me understand what you're going through, and you're coming to me. So what can I do to help you? How can I support you? Right.
And I think a good way to put it as well is that it always stems from like something that I've always like held really close to me, is that you can only control what you can control. Control the way that you want to live. That's something that you can control. You can't control how your parents think. You can't control how your friends think or your family thinks. You can control how you think and how you take it. At the end of the day, like, you should be number one. You should you should
100%.
take care of yourself. Which a lot of people tend to forget. A lot of people tend to be so absorbed in pleasing other people. Like you said, people are out there to please others. Like, when's the last time you sat down and actually thought about how could you make yourself happy?
But it's like that on an airplane. They say put your mask on first and then help out others. Because you're gonna help others without you having a mask on. Or how are you supposed to help people? You can't
You
breathe.
can help yourself first.
Exactly.
It's like bears. It's a mentality that bears has. It's pretty rough, man. Like, if a mother bear was taking care of their cub and they ran out of food,
they'd eat their bear.
they're going to eat their cubs because they're going to survive, because they know that if they live, they can produce more cubs.
Whereas
But
the
if
cub,
they die,
Cub's gonna
the
die
cub's
anyway.
dead as well. So it's kind of that mentality. That's harsh, man.
It's harsh, but it's like a tough choice, you know. But it also comes with taking ownership of your life and being responsible for every action that you do, and whatever choices you make sure you be like, I made these decisions based on what I want to do, and I'll take ownership of it. I'm not going to blame anyone for what happens, what are the consequences. I will own up to it. It's having that courage, man. Like, it's going to be tough. And sometimes they're not going to be in your control, but you just have to take responsibility of it and take ownership. That's the other thing.
Correct.
Yeah. Damn, that was heavy.
Yeah.
That was heavy. That was a really good question, though. Because
I think like that question is like, how do you please your parents? How do you please your parents without upsetting them, but at the same time making sure that you're happy? It's like, it's a contradiction. It's like your parents are happy if you do this. You're happy if you don't do that. And it's like, how do you kind of mend them together? It's a hard choice.
it's also like, don't let don't base your decisions off emotions as well. Because like the saying goes, like, emotions are great indicators but terrible dictators. Like, we can't it's emotions are just something of a reaction to a circumstance or a situation. That was a heavy one, man, especially like with family or anything with what you were trying to pursue. You always want to make people proud, but make sure you're proud. Like, you take pride in what you do. Just make sure you love it.
Like, ultimately, your parents just want to see you succeed.
Exactly.
And they probably have like a certain thing, like, you know, be a nurse, be a doctor, become a lawyer, like the high professions that are out there. But if you can succeed in some other way and they see you actually succeed, then they'll be happy for you. That's the general thing, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to put it, because it's something where probably when they were brought up, when they were taught at a young age, it's like, to succeed you have to be a nurse, a doctor. Because back then it was the trend. You saw people, Filipinos were the people who were going to wars as nurses, as doctors, known for that. And then next thing you know, they're going over internationally to the States, to Canada, to Australia, to other countries to pursue that nursing dream, because that's what success was. You were able to you were able to make money to send it back to the family in Philippines or to send it back to the family wherever they were from. And that was success, because you were a breadwinner. You were able to do that for your family.
Mm.
But now we're born in a country which is super lucky.
Yeah.
We're born in a super lucky country
Very
where
lucky.
we've got, we get free money, man. Like
Yeah.
we get free money. You don't do anything, here's money.
Yeah.
Like they just want to make sure everyone will get good healthcare.
Exactly.
But they still bring on the old kind of mentality to say, oh, you don't have a job, you're not going to succeed. You know, you don't have this, you're not going to succeed. You're not doing that. I think it's something where it's you got to kind of educate them. It's like, how do you do it?
That's a
Man,
tough
that's
question.
that's a question. We're just going around in circles. It's like, how do we do that?
I guess
How do
the
we
best way to
educate
do it is to show results.
them? Yeah.
You show it through results.
Yeah.
Make sure, but you need to understand that those results sometimes won't show up
Yeah.
for a while. So how can you make sure you have that patience? You understand that you keep working, you keep planting those seeds and letting them grow. Don't touch the ground once you plant the seeds a day later. Like keep watering it, keep working on it, and just stay laser focused. Make sure you win to show results. That's what it is.
Having patience and resilience.
Yeah. And like, you know, the stuff we get to do, like you have your startup and I'll come back to that. Like, but even what we're doing it's a privilege. That's the way I see it. We have the opportunity to work on these things that we love. And everyone in this world has that opportunity. Like you just have to work for it. Like, man, we still in our day jobs. Like this isn't our full-time thing. It would be awesome to make this our full-time like income, but we have to make the sacrifice.
Yeah, you got to build that empire.
Exactly.
You got to grow it.
As it's good to hear those stories that, you know, people always see these successful people, but like they call them like one day success, but like you don't see the 12 years or 10 years that they put the hard yards in.
Yeah.
You only see the day the lights are on them. So it's just about like, even Gerald and I, we were having doubts that like a few weeks ago, we were like, oh man, I'm like down in this, like, but it's just keep on going. Like you got to stay on the grind and believe what we started, we're going to finish it. Having that impeccable word. And it's hard when you don't see results, but if you don't work in it, obviously you're not going to see results.
Yeah.
But yeah, how is the startup going?
It's pretty good. Like, I think an area. So here's a plug. We've got a startup called Recipe, and it's a think of it as a social platform to share your recipes with other people. Home chefs sharing home cooks sharing recipes with other home cooks. The hardest part about cooking is figuring out what to cook. So the app that we're developing is an app where you can post photos of your recipe, share it easily, give it to friends, have basic information about it, such as how long it's going to take to cook, how long it's going to take to prep, the difficulty of it, and then just post it up, take a look on your phone, and then there's a bunch of recipes that you can start. So that's going out to beta testing hopefully next week. We've been working on it since around December. And it's something where it's been a really great experience because it's something where I started to learn that the stuff that I was doing was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I still had my 9-to-5 job, working long hours. And then after work, I'd probably put in another 3-4 hours a day onto this, but it was something where I wasn't tired of it. It was something where I was continuously working. I'm like, man, I could keep working on this. Sometimes I'd go to bed at 3 a.m. I'm like, crap, I got work. I could work the next morning. So that was something then. I see it as the work that I'm doing, the 9-to-5 job that I had was just funding to do something more fun, something more special. And the startup really showed me that it could be something like this, regardless of whether it succeeds or not. It's taught me a lot to be really open-minded about the different type of work that I can get into.
Definitely.
And yeah, so it's really fun because you start working with people who are like-minded to you. At my job, I'm just a number. I'm just an employee. There was a metaphor one of my friends used was that a company or a startup starts off with your commandos diving in. So you're in a war. The commandos dive in. They find a really good place to work on. Those commandos are like your founders of the company. And then once the commandos are in, you bring the army. The army comes in, they build the barracks, they fortify everything. They make the business a business. And then once the army's in, the next people are your police.
Right.
And then by the time the police are in, it's no longer fun because the police are just enforcing what's already there.
Wow, that's interesting.
I don't want to be police, man. I want to be the commando coming in and like searching around. But the thing is, it's high risk.
Of course.
As a commando, it's high risk because you could potentially be the ones that are the first ones to fall. So how do you ensure that you continue to be really vigilant in the stuff that you're doing, but at the same time taking enough risk for the rest of your company to succeed?
Well, like if you look at other successful people, man, like they're the biggest risk takers.
Yes.
And you only hear about their successes, but you don't hear about their failings. And sometimes their failings are like really bad, but they took those risks. They're willing to take that leap of faith, right? That's what it is. I had a question, but yeah, you were saying that you started your startup and you found that you loved it. Like you only realized that you loved it until you start doing it, right?
Correct.
And I find that a lot of people, they're always like searching, I want to be passionate about what I want to be happy. But I'm like, yo, have you even started doing this? Like, how do you know you're going to find passion and happiness through it? And then I hear all these stories like, oh, my kid, he was doing uni, he's doing photography, he loved it. And then he was like, he got bored of it. And then he went to do like medical school or something like that. And it's just like, people are always searching for the things they're passionate about and happy about. But like, how far are you, like, how long are you willing to go to find that passion and happiness? Exactly. How many times are you going to keep switching around, finding that job that you think is going to find you happiness? It's kind of ridiculous to me.
And that's the thing, is because back at uni, I was really good at programming. I was really good at it. I hated it. I hated it. And then until I actually went to work, stopped coding, did more solution design work, and then started this startup, I started coding again, and man, I started enjoying it. I'm like, this is something completely different. And I'm like, it doesn't mean just because you hated it initially, it doesn't mean you can't go back into it and start enjoying it again. And that's something that I found, is that this part of it, this business operation side of it as well, ends up being really, really fun, because I know how a company works. I know how to build that company from bottom up. I know how to put processes in there to make sure that you're more efficient. You can take a business can be successful in 5 years, but my goal is, how can I make that business successful in 2-3 years? It's just basic processes and procedures in place, running those, like we said, like what I taught you guys, basic planning, task management. It just helps you be more efficient in the way that you work.
That's why we appreciate that coaching stuff. And when I was discussing with you, I was like, you have the knowledge and the skills, man. Like you could definitely create your own type of business or do something with your knowledge. And that's what like I wanted to do. That you're helping us out, like with Shinobi, teaching us those things. And
shout out
Shinobi guys, make sure you check them out. They're a great film crew, great creatives. But like with that initiative, I don't want to reveal too much, that we, like I was telling Gerald before, like it's something I really want to pursue still, but I know it's going to take a lot of time. And one thing I realized, I kind of want to park the bus on that too, because I think we still need a lot of growth for us as individuals. We still need a lot of growing to do. So I would prefer us to have a bit more knowledge, have more growth, and then if you guys are still down, let's do this initiative that we want to do, because I think there's great value in it. Especially we want to encourage and find those willing people to work with, right? That's what it is.
Like I said, it's people who are motivated, who are passionate about something that they really want to get into. How can we help those people?
And that's why I think you're still in your infant phase of your startup. We're still in our infant phase with our brand. You know, there's still a lot of go for us. Like it's a good idea to have, I think, but like, that's what we want to do, right? Is pay it forward to people.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I had a question for JP about that. Why did you want to start this thing other
on
than
the side?
on the side?
I think it was just opportunity that came. And that's the thing. It's me and my friend Jason. We've always wanted to do something different. So final year uni, we had a startup. Or we had someone approach us to help them out in their startup. I'm not sure if it was just because we were cheap uni students or whatever it was, but we started going in it, and we saw kind of the operations that this person had. The product owner of it wasn't that great. He was someone who just kind of had an idea but had no business model in mind, didn't know where to start, and he's just saying that, I can get people offshore to do this for 20K. How much can you guys do it for? And like as a uni student, I'm like, man, 20K is quite a lot. I'm happy to do this for like 10K maybe, 5K. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But just with that lack and just seeing that lack of business knowledge that this person had, it made us stop. So we were already in the design phase. We were ready to start coding it up. And we asked him, it's like, what do you want? Like you have a bunch of documents that have a good idea of what you want, but what are the actual requirements that you need? And he didn't have an answer. And I'm like, how are you projecting that this is going to make money? No answer to it. And I'm like, these are the basic questions that people are going to be asking you when you're starting a business. It's basic stuff to say, if you want to get investment, if you want to make this product big, how do you know that it's going to be big with the money that we give you? Like, I'm not going to give you $1 million just because it's a good idea.
Exactly.
You got to show me the growth that your company has had.
Right.
And I think that's something that a lot of businesses don't realize, or a lot of startups don't realize, is that just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's going to be really big, or it's going to be something that grows out there. What would they say? It was like, I think it was a very small number. I'm going to get something like 30%. I can't remember the exact number.
I think it was 20% of
20% of small businesses
actually succeed.
Yeah. Imagine that, man. 2 out of 10 companies succeed. And then there was other ones about saying that in the first 10 years, that reduces down even more. So like, it's crazy. It's like, how do those companies continue to succeed? What have they done differently?
Yeah.
And the thing is, most of the time, it's not the first business that they've ever started. They've learned along the way. And that's something that we're learning about as well, is that we're going to beta testing with this company. That's going to be really soon. And it's going to be something where, how do we ensure that we continue growing it? Because I feel right now that the way that the founders have it, so we're not founders of this startup where we're helping develop this startup, but the way that the founders see it is that let's just wait, and if it grows kind of mentality.
As opposed to going all in.
As opposed to the stuff that I'm saying is that we've got to continue figuring out what's next. Because the next stage for us, and the reason why I say us, because I really want to be invested in this company, is that we need to go out there and sell ourselves. We need to promote ourselves, not just from a marketing campaign, but also to investors to say, oh, wow, you've grown your company by 10,000 users in 2 months. That's quite a lot. That's a pretty big achievement. Then 12 months, you project your growth. Oh, wow, you've grown 100,000 users. Imagine that, 100,000 user database of people who are all passionate about the same thing, about cooking, sharing recipes, spreading that around.
It's proof.
It's proof right there to say that, hey, here's the money. And then now give us money. It's like, give us money so that we can do something even more. We can add more features, run more competitions, partner up with Coles, Woolies, something like that. Partner up with HelloFresh to say, hey guys, this is what we want to do with you guys. There's so many opportunities out there. And it all revolves about putting effort, putting more growth into this company rather than just sitting back and letting it grow.
That's the hard part. When like you have the potential to work on it, but you're not doing anything to actually do something to add to that growth.
Exactly.
How have you like trying to communicate to them to try to push it?
We've tried to kind of just tell them about the process of it, because like these I'm gonna call them kids, but they're not really kids. Like it's like the 2-3 years younger than me. These kids. But the founders of Resimi, they're very young in the startup space, the tech space. They don't have that knowledge about it. They do have their own mentors who kind of talk to them about it. But it's something where we try to educate them, to tell them, hey guys, we can't just sit on this because it's just wasted effort that we've put in. We've spent 6 months developing this app, and it feels like it's just wasted effort with, if we just sit back and hope that it grows, because it's just hope. There's nothing they're actually putting in there to say, I want to do this now. It's just, I guess it will grow. Like, you want to reduce that risk.
Just being in the osmosis of it, like having it there, but not doing anything to add to that growth. Right.
And It's like, I don't want it to plateau. Like, that's the thing. It's like,
like I've seen you're like dedicated to this this app, man. Like, and you did a lot of work. It was shaping up. It looks really good.
Yeah.
But it's just a shame that, they don't want to add that extra growth and dedication to it. But at the same time, it's kind of like maybe they have a lot of things on their plate too.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, how do we, and it's like me and Jason, how do we kind of come in there to help them out with their growth?
Yeah.
Give them that advice. Don't just be there as developers, part shareholders, but actually be there as mentors to them to understand it. Because me and Jason, we both have quite a lot of experience in the corporate world. We both have experience in how actual businesses run. Now, it may be different to startups, but it's a lot more than someone who's just graduated uni.
Exactly.
And put in money to just get this app developed.
Yeah. You have experience and background in it. So,
and that's something that I've always been imparting to them, is that, hey guys, utilize us while we're here. Utilize us while we have this experience, or while we're still in development, because by the time that potentially we leave, because the thing is, my business Lava Shack, we were looking for what's next for us as well. And potentially startups may not be the thing.
Yeah.
Developing for startups may not be the right choice.
Right.
We may go pursue a different path. And by the time we're pursuing that different path, they might come to us and be like, oh, hey guys, actually, we want to invest a lot more into this company. We want you guys on board 100% dedicated. It may be too late for them.
Yeah.
Then it's a choice or it's a risk that they're taking, which we told them. But it's something where it's really like, you don't want your startup to get political at the start. That's the thing. It's just like, it's just real talk. It's just, here's our expectations. Here's how we think we can help you. But if you guys don't want it, no hard feelings. Like, we're not gonna force you to take it.
What's Lava Shack?
So Lava Shack's my, that's the company that me and Jason created. So Lava Shack, we started off more as an IT consulting company to help Resemi with the development of their app. So from Lava Shack's perspective, we're a single entity. We're a different entity to Resemi, the startup. But as part of the development of the app, we took we're part shareholders of Resemi. So in that stage, we are kind of invested in this app to do well and succeed. But in terms of Lava Shack as well, we also look at different areas that we can venture in. One of them was agile coaching or business operations coaching that I'm doing, that I'm really passionate about, because it's how do you empower these smaller businesses who don't know anything about corporate stuff or don't know anything about these processes, and give them the tools that they need to be more efficient and effective. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. Same with Jason. He's really invested in technology and how technology can grow. And it's really hard. Like that's one thing about Lava Shack, is figuring out what's next. What's the next thing? And it's very similar, I guess. What's Okiru's next thing? I'm talking about business operations. It's like, do we as Lava Shack, do we want to stay as a startup company? Or which is fun. Like startup stuff is fun. Or do we want to diverge and move into something where, if we take this big risk to develop something really big, it could make us a lot of money.
Well, that's what it is, right? High risk, high reward. Right.
And that's the thing that we're kind of thinking about right now, is where do we go? Where do we diverge to? And that's a hard one, because at the same time, I have a feeling that if I go diverge into something that's high risk, am I going to enjoy it?
Right. So when you say, am I going to enjoy it? What are you thinking?
So I'm thinking kind of building something that I know from a technical sector. I can't say spoilers or anything, but like building something that I know from a technical perspective will be bought by big corporations. Very generic, very ambiguous, but it's something like that, where you know that it's missing in the market right now, but it's going to take you maybe a year or two to develop it. It's going to take you maybe X $1,000, maybe even the $100,000s of dollars to develop some of the components or some of the features required into it. And then just hope that you're going to get that funding from investors to say, hey guys, here's what we can do. Because when you build a product, we don't just think about something cool and fancy. We think about the whole process that we can simplify. Imagine having a product out there. It's the same price as the current product or the current device out there. But then you go to the business and say, but it can save your operational expenses 20%.
That's That's something you'd want to
Yeah,
buy
that's
on
something.
them.
Yeah, so that's something.
20%.
It's like
Oh,
even though the
let's
device is
go.
the same price, it's like 20% could be millions for big corporations.
Yeah. So what's stopping you from like pursuing that? Of course, it's high risk, but
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess it
you
goes
don't want to
back-
reveal too much. But
yeah, I guess it goes back to the question that Gerald was asking. I didn't even answer that, but I guess it goes back to the question, the answer of am I going to enjoy it?
why do
'Cause-
you feel like you won't enjoy it?
Because I know it's going to be something very technical that I have to learn and research, and it's something that, for example, with startups, you can code stuff. It's very easy. It's easy to do.
Right.
It's easy and fun. It's easy and fun. This stuff's actually having to research technology that's not even out there and doesn't have much papers on it, and you kind of defining what the standards are. And that's hard. And that's the hard
Do you
one.
think you could potentially find enjoyment in it?
Potentially at the time being, but it's going to be just
Yeah.
a tedious work. It's
course.
really tedious work. And like, I know, like for myself, I'm not an education. I want to say that I'm not a academic. I'm not an
Yeah.
academic, man.
Yeah.
I like practical learning. I'm a
Yeah.
very practical learner. I learn off mentors. I
Mm.
learn off other people around me. But having to actually research something and fail from it, it's like that's very, I wouldn't say super novel to me, but it's still kind of
Yeah.
somewhat boring.
Do you think this would be something you'd regret if you don't try to pursue it though?
Not necessarily, because in terms of Jason as well, we're getting the same vibes of like, is this something we want to do?
Yeah.
I'd prefer something where I could help a small business
Yeah.
in promoting the stuff that they want to sell with an app or something like that, or a
Yeah.
community app.
Yeah.
Like that sounds more fun because I'm helping other people.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm also upskilling in how small
Exactly.
businesses work in the process that they do.
Yeah.
With the other one that I'm doing, it's going to be, how can I just make money off corporations already?
So it comes to the point of like, do I want to make money or do I want to
Have fun.
have
Yeah.
fun and help people?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Those
man.
things like what finds you enjoyment. And some people have
Yeah.
enjoyment in making money, which
Exactly.
is fine. But for me, I think my enjoyment is just helping other people out. How can I empower other people?
What would you say, like, for in terms of helping smaller businesses? What do you think the biggest what do you call it, mistake that you see small businesses do?
Biggest mistake. Ooh, that's a hard one. So that's a hard one, man. Like I really don't know, because I haven't been around too many small businesses right now. And the thing is, when I say small business, like I wouldn't consider the startups that I work with as a small business yet. They're still in there, like you said, they're still in the infancy stage. Maybe if I go to a small business that's potentially already had their like been up and running for 10 years,
Yeah.
they want to stay as a small business, as a niche business, and helping them out. Yeah, I just haven't had experience with that. Next question.
It's like an interview.
Next question.
Like, you had all these things juggling around. How were you able to, I guess, stay sane?
That's that one, and I will say, like, the burnout, it did get to me. I'll say that the burnout did get to me, man.
Yeah.
Like stress. There's nothing wrong with stress. I'll say that, but extended periods of stress when you're always, you have a lot of cortisol in your body. It slowly burns you out, and that's why I hate when people say, "Hey, man, you got to continue the grind, keep grinding, man."
The grind culture, man.
Yeah. It's like you're gonna burn yourself out to death, and then at the end of the day, you're just gonna hate what you do. And that's something that's really that I've tried to kind of share upon other people, is that it's okay to be stressed out, it's okay to be burnt out, but the thing is, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You got to take care of yourself. So I'll tell you, like, I was working, maybe my day job, I was working from 7 a.m. some days till 7 p.m. and then working on Resume from 7 p.m. till 3 a.m. getting about 4 hours sleep a day. And then at the same time during my day job, I'd be going to my bosses and being like, "Man, like, I'm really drained. I shouldn't, like, why am I working 12-hour days? How come no one's helping me here?" Which kind of got me to resent my day job.
Yeah.
And then that's why I started doing more stuff in Resume. But then at the same time, it's like, I need my day job to keep the funds running for the stuff that I do for Resume.
Yeah.
So it's kind of something where I had to normalize it to myself, that is it okay to be working 12 hours? Especially when you're at a day job, you're meant to be working 9 to 5. And it's not to say that you're going to be lazy and just work your 9 to 5 hours. The mentality I have at work is do the best that you can, within the time that you have.
Yeah.
But don't sacrifice your life
Yeah.
to a company that doesn't really care about you.
Yeah.
Just a number.
You're just a number. You're just police.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, why invest all that time that you have where you can invest it in other places where you can grow?
Yeah.
And that's something that I just had to normalize to myself, is saying that I'm going to try the best that I can. At the end of the day, if I'm doing the best that I can and I know that there's another gap, I just raise it with my one-ups. I just raise it with my bosses at my company, at where I work. And then they're the ones who are meant to be dealing with it.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best. I can only do, I can give 100%, but if you make me, if you're forcing me to do 150,
Yeah.
I'm going to step back. And it's a lot harder, I guess, with people who work in companies or places where you could get fired for that stuff. But the thing is, why punish people for doing the best that they can?
Yeah.
Especially if their best is already like 120%.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, these companies want you there.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're doing good, they want you there.
Yeah.
But with that being said, like, juggling, it was really hard. I had to really tie down kind of the work that I was doing in my day job. I had to kind of say, hey, get some rest. Work the best that you can, whether it's 9 to 5 or sometimes 9 to 6. But if you can't complete it, it's not brain surgery. No one's going to die.
There's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's life is on the line
Yeah.
here.
And then juggling that with Resumi as well is kind of like, they're very, especially at a startup, you see the differences. Like, you got the commanders, like I said, you're part of the commanders there. And it's something where everyone just works with each other. You're not a number, you're an actual person. Like, you see companies out there who are like, oh, I'm the CEO of this startup. I'm the COO. It's just titles, man. At the end of the day, you're all workers for the same product.
Yeah.
You're all workers for the same company. And you just try your best, you fill in the gaps where you can.
Yeah.
It's like everyone has a skill set. Once you start putting titles on these things, it's like, I don't care, man. Like, why are you the CEO? What does your title make you better than this other person who's actually developing it? Because if they're the ones who are developing it, or if you have this key resource and you feel like you're more entitled or you're more better than them, like, if they leave, what happens? Go use your title to use your title to do what they do.
It's like we're often place our titles and labels as and attach it to our self-image, and that's the hard part. Like, if you I guess a CEO, you feel like you're the king of the world and whatnot, and then you feel like you can control people. It's that ego again, right?
Yeah. And that's why, like, the best leaders out there have that kind of servant leader mentality. It's the people who are working with you. I'd rather, and like, if there was a title, this person was called like the CEO of this company, I'd rather be working with him than working for him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want someone to be telling me, you have to do this.
Yeah.
I want someone to be there brainstorming with me, asking me, what should we be doing?
Yeah.
What do you reckon would be working better for this company?
Yeah.
And it's not only just companies, it's like, even if there's just like, I want to say this, if they who had that kind of mentality to say that I am not the boss, do as I say. If I had someone who was out there to say, like, and there's some people out there as part of who actually have that mentality, and they end up being the kindest people out there. They don't care that they're top in the ranks. They just care about the people and genuinely care about that stuff. Maybe this might be cut out by
but it's not even that. It's just being a good person.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Seeing a person and seeing them as a person, like, oh, you're lower than me.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
I don't know why there's that different level just because they have this certain ranking. Like,
This
they have this
hierarchy.
title.
And it comes back, I guess. I just keep saying that logic stuff. That logic stuff.
I love it.
It's like, you are the people out there. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
And if you had that kind of that mentality to say that, oh, this is me. Why would I choose this person? Why would I choose to dog this further?
Yeah.
Why would I choose to be better than this person?
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, if you had that servant leader mentality in all businesses, it would be so much better, because you are no longer a not a commander. You're no longer a director.
Yeah.
You are actually a leader. You are helping others succeed at the same time that you're succeeding.
Yeah.
If someone is at the very bottom, you help bring them up. You don't leave them behind.
Exactly.
If someone doesn't say what you do or what you want them to do, you ask them, "Oh, is there a better way to do it?" You kind of get them involved in the process than just saying that, "Nope, you are wrong. I am right. Therefore, you have to do it my way."
Like questioning is seen as how would I say this? Like it's a bad thing, you know? How are you supposed to come to an understanding if you can't?
Yeah. How do you learn? How are you meant to learn without questions?
Yeah.
You just get taught like, this is the way it's done. It's like, it wasn't done that way 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. How do we know? How do you know what was done thousands of years ago? We can only base it and interpret the words from books and people's experiences, but it's all distorted.
Yeah,
because
it's subjective to the people's interpretation of it.
Exactly.
And like, how do you know they're interpreting it right?
Yeah, exactly. I like to see as we're all just playing Chinese telephone, man. Yeah. That's what it is.
Chinese whispers.
Chinese whispers. Chinese whispers. Chinese telephone. Whatever. Like that game where
telephone.
Chinese whispers. That's the one where you pass on a message, but then at the end of the line, you're gonna have a different message from the beginning because people will always interpret things differently. They'll only absorb things differently. So it's how do you know if you have to find out for yourself, and if you can't even question, how are you supposed to find out?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the hard part. Just having no fear and trying to find understanding.
That servant leader mentality, like there were a lot of there who actually were really good.
Yeah.
Who were actually into that servant leader mentality. They didn't care about it. I find that a lot of the people in I guess like nowadays, some of them are just so power hungry that they want the title. It's like, but what are you actually doing? How are you actually making things better? How are you helping others rather than finding mistakes that other people have made? Yeah, exactly. Like faults. Like don't find the faults. Find how you can help them. Like it's so easy to put the blame. But how are you actually trying to get these guys out of the ground?
It's like this quote I created. It's a hybrid quote, and I made it into a poster and gave it to Joel. But it's like, have the courage to be disliked, and have the strength to transcend who you think you are and become better. That's what we should be doing, man. Like always doing our best to become better.
Exactly.
How can I become better? How can I help others to become better? And how can I just be a good person overall, as opposed to placing these and indoctrinating my own ideologies and my own philosophies onto people. It's like what you say, like, you know, it doesn't matter if you're my enemy, like that Tupac quote you always say.
It's like, that doesn't matter if you're my enemy. I still want to see you succeed. I still want to see you do well, just not on my table.
Exactly. That's what it is. And especially from this tradition that we come from, like once you have a disagreement or a different perspective on something, you're straight away in the wrong. Yeah. And that's the other thing about the truth. There could be multiple truths to things. Like for me, the truth, I see this microphone in front of me. The truth for you is you're going to see this cable. It's the same thing. There's going to be a microphone in front of me. Yep. There's two truths to that. Yep. So it's not only about having the one truth. It's about seeing other things. But like the other thing is being interpreted. Like if you hang out with this person, you're instantly this person. And that's the wrong way to see it. Yeah, like exactly. I've seen a lot of people hang out with similar characteristics, but they don't do those things.
Yeah, but it's also like those people telling you not to hang out with that person. They don't really know that other person. It's just like they get judgment. Yeah, and it's like it's probably a rumor that they heard from someone else. It's just like gossip.
It's like, it's like, bro, it's like go get to know that person.
It's just misunderstood. Misunderstood.
It's like people, and this is something that I see a lot. It's like people see me as a bad person because I have long hair. I dress differently. I do whatever. And it's like, what? So you don't want people to be successful in a career, or you don't want to be friends with someone that wants to help other people? It's like they don't realize that other part of it. They straight away see that, oh, this person used to do this 10 years ago, therefore he is the same. He has not changed. It's like,
that's the other thing, being able to accept change. We're so ingrained into this certain way of living and philosophy and ideologies that we don't want to accept change because we're comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, like being uncomfortable with things. Oh, damn, that was heavy.
We've done an hour.
Yeah, that was pretty good, man.
You want me to stop the recording?
Yeah.
This is the end of the Okiru podcast.
Cast.
Okiru.